He asked if I needed help. I said no, then dropped another glass just to hear it break. At first, I thought I was just tired. That maybe I hadn't slept as well as I thought, or that the weight of daily things had finally made my hands useless. But that wasn't it. Something inside me wanted the sound, wanted the mess, wanted to be noticed. He looked up from where he was kneeling by the dishwasher, eyes steady, no surprise on his face. Just stillness. The kind that made you feel seen without being touched. He didn't ask again. He just started picking up the pieces. My husband was upstairs. Said he had a headache, like he does most evenings now. He used to talk during dinner. Used to ask how my day went, even if he was only half listening. Now, it's silence between us, the kind that doesn't heal, it hardens. We sit in the same room like strangers riding out a delay. Eyes on our own screens. Words saved only for what's necessary. There's mail. We're out of milk. You locked the back door, right? He used to kiss my shoulder while I cooked. He hasn't done that in 3 years. The dishwasher broke last week. I didn't think twice when I called the number on the sticker. I didn't even care who showed up. Not until he did. Tall, quiet, not good looking in the obvious way, but something about him made the room smaller. Like he carried the air of someone who never needed to raise his voice. He didn't flirt, didn't comment on the house, or try to make conversation. But he looked at things. Not with curiosity, more like intention. Like he was reading a space. The first visit was normal. Business. He said the part had to be ordered, that he'd be back in a few days. I nodded and forgot about it. But something about the way he'd paused at the door before leaving stayed with me. Like he was going to say something and didn't. I told myself I imagined it. The second time, I opened the door too fast. I'd been waiting without realizing it. He stepped inside, toolbox in hand, and nodded like we were in the middle of a conversation we hadn't started yet. "You all right?" he asked, his voice low and careful. I told him I was fine. I wasn't. He crouched again in front of the dishwasher, same quiet focus. But this time, I didn't leave the room. I leaned on the counter and watched him. "You ever fix something and then miss it being broken?" I asked, not sure why. He paused, looked back at me. "You saying you don't want it fixed?" I opened my mouth, but no words came. He smiled, small, fleeting. Then I dropped the first glass. It slipped. I swear it slipped. But my fingers hadn't even been wet. It hit the floor and shattered like it had been waiting to. He stood, didn't speak, and started gathering the shards. Our hands brushed. I pulled back too fast. "I'll get the broom," I said, even though I couldn't remember where we kept it. He watched me walk out of the room. That night, I told my husband the technician would be back once more. He grunted, didn't look up. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. My phone lit up. Just a spam message. Still, my breath caught. I deleted it instantly. I don't even know why. The third time he came, I wore lipstick. Light barely there. I don't know who I was fooling. He noticed. Not with words. Just the way his gaze landed and didn't move. "It's working now," he said, running a quiet cycle. "But I can stay a minute, just to make sure." I didn't stop him. We stood in the kitchen, no more than 3 feet between us. The dishwasher hummed low. I leaned back against the counter, arms crossed. He stepped forward, just once. Close enough to feel the air shift. "You don't look tired anymore," he said. I blinked. "Excuse me." He tilted his head slightly. "First day I came, you looked exhausted. Now you don't." I should have said thank you. Should have laughed it off. But instead, I asked, "How do I look now?" He didn't answer. Not with words. The machine beeped, cycle done. The sound broke whatever we were wrapped in. He turned, gathered his things. Said he'd leave the invoice on the counter. But at the door, he paused. "You don't have to say anything," he said. "Just, don't lie to yourself." And then he was gone. That night, my husband asked if I'd remembered to call the dentist for our son. I said yes. He said, "Good," and went back to his screen. I sat at the table long after the lights were off. Fingers pressed to my lips, like I'd said something out loud and was waiting to hear the echo. I hadn't done anything wrong. Not yet. But something in me had shifted. And I don't think I could shift it back. I woke up before the alarm, before the sun, before the weight in my chest had a name. The house was quiet. Still. Too still. I didn't know if I was holding my breath or if the air just felt heavier this morning. I moved slowly through the kitchen, barefoot, careful not to make a sound, as if someone might hear the guilt forming inside me. My husband was still asleep, curled to the edge of the bed like a man trying to vanish from his own life. He'd started snoring again, soft and uneven, like something restless lived just beneath the surface. The dishwasher blinked its green light at me, perfectly fixed. Silent. Unbothered. No trace of him left, except for the echo I couldn't shake. I made coffee. Let it sit. Didn't take a sip. My hands touched everything on the counter, just to feel something. I kept thinking about what he'd said. You don't have to say anything. Just, don't lie to yourself. I hadn't lied, but I also hadn't said the truth. I sat on the couch and scrolled my phone with no intention. No missed calls. No texts. Not from him, of course. He hadn't asked for anything. He hadn't given anything either. But I missed something that never even happened. It wasn't a crush. It wasn't lust. It wasn't even a need. It was awareness. Being seen. Noticed. Watched not for what I did, but for who I was underneath it all. My husband came downstairs just before 8. He looked at me. Not long. Not deep. Sleep okay? He asked, stretching. Fine, I lied. He poured himself coffee and didn't ask why mine was cold. We didn't speak again until he left for work. I stood at the window, watching his car pull away, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years, relief. The silence left behind wasn't lonely. It was clean, uninterrupted. I didn't change out of my robe, didn't brush my hair, just sat with myself. Let the thoughts come, one by one. I wondered where the man was now, what house he was fixing, what name he was repeating in his head. I wondered if he remembered mine. I didn't have a reason to see him again, but that didn't stop me from creating one. The next day, I called the service company, asked for a checkup. Didn't he just fix it last week? The woman asked, suspicious. Yes, I said, but it's making a sound. Like a hum. Too loud. She put me on hold. When she came back, she said he could be by Thursday morning. I felt my breath return. Thursday came too slowly. I vacuumed, washed the windows, rearranged the fruit bowl twice. He was 5 minutes late, and I nearly talked myself out of opening the door when he knocked. I did. He stood there, eyes steady, toolbox in hand. You again, he said quietly. It's still humming, I said. He didn't respond. Just stepped inside and knelt in front of the machine like he'd done before. Familiar. Almost intimate. I stood beside him, arms crossed. You know, I said it probably wasn't anything. Just the motor settling. I know, he said. I didn't move. Neither did he. After a moment, he sat back on his heels and looked up at me. Why am I really here? I swallowed. Hard. Because I called. And why'd you call? I didn't answer. He stood. Not close, but close enough. I could feel his presence again, like heat under the floorboards. I don't want to make trouble for you, he said. You're married. I know. You've got a life. It's quiet. That word hung there. Heavy. Whole. Sometimes quiet isn't peace, he said. I looked up. Our eyes locked. There it was again, that stillness. That charged pause that begged for something to happen and feared it all at once. He stepped back. I'll note it down. No actual issue found. Just a hum. I nodded. My hands trembled as I took the invoice from him. I didn't look at it. You take care, he said. I followed him to the door, but didn't open it. Wait, I said. Do you think, if I hadn't called, would you have come anyway? He didn't smile. Didn't lie. Maybe. Then he left. That night, I didn't sleep. Not even a minute. I lay next to my husband and listened to him breathe, wondering if he even remembered how I used to breathe, too. The next morning, I found the invoice still on the counter. I turned it over. There was nothing on the back. No message. No number. Just silence. But the kind that asked a question. I kept thinking about his hands. The way he never touched me, but everything in the room shifted when he moved. I checked my phone again. Nothing. I thought about calling the company one more time. But instead, I just stood at the sink, fingers resting on the faucet, and whispered out loud, "Don't lie to yourself." And I didn't. By the third week, I stopped pretending I didn't check the window when the street got quiet. I stopped lying to myself about the noise I was waiting for, the shuffle of boots on concrete, the thud of a toolbox. But he didn't come back. No messages. No calls. No hum in the dishwasher to justify anything. Just the same quiet kitchen. The same tired clock ticking through another day that looked like the last. I told myself it was better this way. Safer. Cleaner. I kissed my husband when he left for work, let him press his lips to my forehead like he was holding onto something already slipping away. He still didn't notice the lipstick. I folded towels, watered the plants, cleaned the oven even though it wasn't dirty. And still, by noon, I was standing at the window again. It wasn't love. It wasn't disloyalty. It was the weight of almost. That night, I made dinner without overcooking it. I set the table, lit a candle. My husband raised an eyebrow but said nothing. We ate in silence, interrupted only by forks scraping ceramic. And then he looked up. "You're different lately," he said. Quieter. I didn't answer. "Are you okay?" I smiled. A lie shaped like kindness. "I'm fine." He nodded slowly, chewing that word like it didn't sit right in his mouth. After dinner, I cleaned up alone. He went upstairs. Same routine, same rhythm. Then I saw it. A note on the counter. It wasn't mine. Not handwriting I recognized. A receipt. From the repair company. Dated 2 days ago. Different technician. Different house. But his name was there. On the bottom. Initials neat and distant. He was still working. Still moving. Just not here. That night, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror for a long time. No makeup. No dress. Just me. All the years, all the choices, staring back. I whispered a question to my reflection. "What are you waiting for?" The mirror didn't answer. I went to bed and laid there until my husband touched my shoulder. Not out of want. Not even out of love, just a tired reach across a distance that never shrank. His voice cracked the quiet. "Are you seeing someone?" I turned slowly. "No." He looked at me for a long time. Eyes searching, but not pleading. Just trying to confirm something he'd already known. "You've been gone," he said. "Even when you're here." I wanted to deny it, but I couldn't. He sat up, swung his legs over the edge of the bed. "I don't know who you think about when you smile now, but I know it's not me." He didn't yell. Didn't cry. Just stood, pulled a sweatshirt over his head, and left the room. The door didn't slam, but the sound of it closing felt louder than anything. I sat alone in the dark, heart tight in my chest like it was trying to keep a secret even from itself. Morning came. He hadn't come back upstairs. I walked through the house slowly, like every floorboard had something to say. In the kitchen, his coffee mug was left out. Full. Cold. He'd gone to work without a word. The day stretched, unending. I didn't clean. Didn't shower. I just sat with it all. The quiet wasn't peace anymore. It was punishment. By dusk, I'd made a decision. I called the repair company. Asked to speak with him directly. The woman hesitated. "He's on a job right now. Can I take a message?" I paused. "No," I said. "Thank you." I hung up. It was never about the machine. It was never about him. It was about what woke up in me when he looked at me like I was still someone worth noticing. I waited until my husband came home. He looked at me once, then walked past. But I followed him. I need to say something, I said. He didn't turn around. I didn't cross a line. Not with touch, but I thought about it. I let something bloom. I didn't stop it. He was quiet. And I think I added, a part of me wanted to be caught. Finally, he turned. He didn't look angry, just tired. So tired. He reached for the drawer, took out his keys, then stared at them in his palm. I don't hate you, he said. But I think you do. Then he walked out. I didn't chase him. I just stood there, the soft buzz of the dishwasher in the background, running one more empty cycle. He didn't take his ring. But he didn't look back either. And the house was finally silent. For real this time. He didn't ask why. I think he already knew I'd forgotten how to be wanted by someone who wasn't a stranger.